Hear from Amanda Gant, Microfinance Loan Officer at Latino Economic Development Center, connects great entrepreneurs from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area with microloans to launch or grow their businesses. She recruits, coaches, and underwrites the loan packages. She has also organized startup tech programs such as venture pitch competitions, virtual mentorship hackathons, and training boot camps.
Hello and welcome to the Capital Pathways webinar series hosted by the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc. The Capital Pathways program is a 10-city workshop series designed to connect minority business owners with credit counselors, traditional and non-traditional lenders, and various other business service providers. Today's webinar will be facilitated by Amanda Gant, Loan Officer and Underwriter at the Latino Economic Development Center here in Washington, D.C. Today's webinar will cover the topic, preparing for your small business loan. Please make sure you follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Capital Pathways and visit our website, www.capitalpathways.com. And now I will turn things over to Amanda to get us started.
Well, thanks so much, Kevin, and thanks for the awesome partnership that we have between the U.S. Black Chambers of Commerce, Capital Pathways, and Latino Economic Development Centers. Super excited for everybody who's joined us today, taking, I think, a very important step in preparing for the success of your business. I'm always super happy to share what I've been learning about small businesses and lending over the past couple of years. I've been working in the small business arena. So I just want to get started. I wonder if we could start by asking people to put in the chat box, if you're available, what kind of business you're working on, or the name of your business, just because it's going to be interesting to see everyone who's here. So if you can do that while I'm going through some of the slides, that'll be awesome. First, there's a little about me. There's my email address. You can contact me. I'll have it at the end of the slide as well. Latino Economic Development Center, just as an introduction, we're a community development financial institution, that's CDFI for short. And we provide alternative financing, and we particularly work in the DC and Baltimore areas. But some of the lessons that I can share with you today are valid no matter what part of the country you're in. So a little bit more about the services that we provide, so that you can learn a bit more about how my knowledge can help you. We provide small business loans. Small business loans are basically any loans that you could use to grow your business by purchasing vehicles, equipment, inventory, renovating or getting a new location, hiring more employees, or to bridge financing that you might have when you have public grants or contracts. And we're able to lend to any small business. And I think a lot of other banks and CDFIs out there are the same way as us. Just to become a little bit more familiar with our particular offerings, as one of the many lending operations out there in America, we offer business loans anywhere from literally $1,000 to $50,000. This loan amount size is called microcredit in the U.S. There are other organizations out there that are going to be able to lend you more money if you need it, $100,000, $250,000, $1 million. It depends on what kind of services you're looking for and what kind of revenue you're bringing in. Our rates are from 8% to 14%, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about rates later on today, but it's very good to get an idea of what the rates are. One, so that you are not getting taken advantage of by other organizations, some that might not tell you what their rates are or hide it in a certain way. And also so you don't, so you know what is fair. Some people hear 8% and they think that's very expensive. They got their mortgage for 4%. Why is this business loan 8%? Well, we'll go into reasons for that later. But just wanted to let you know about the rates there. We also offer 3% closing costs. And our organization offers business coaching at no cost, which is a great collaboration between lending and coaching. Business coaches often really help their clients get ready for their loan. And some of the basic requirements that we have for our loan, which are going to be helpful because you'll need to collect the same kind of information and be prepared to share it with whoever you apply for a loan from. We collect bank statements from the personal banks and from the business of 3 months. We collect also tax returns from the past 2 years for the personal and business accounts. We also look for collateral with our loans, and we have an application fee. So that's just a little bit about LEDC, just to give you a little shot into what we offer so that you can see the bigger context when I go through more today. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box as well, because I can answer them either during the webinar or at the end. So we definitely welcome your questions. I want to let you know that the main goal of the webinar today, and I think why you would be taking an hour out of your time to listen to this, is to gain confidence. Confidence that this loan is the right decision for you, confidence that you're going to ask for the right amount, confidence that you know how to present your case in the best way possible when you reach out to different funders. So we're very excited to give you a lot of knowledge that's going to help you be confident about the market for lending today. I would say there's a journey to getting a small business loan. The first part is that you actually decided that you need a loan. The second one is to decide how much you need for your business. And I would give advice to try and figure out ways to take less than more, because you will have to make those payments back at the end of the day. So it's always better to have to get your business done on less money than more. Then based on your need and the amount that you think you need for the loan, you can identify which source of funding might be right for you. And we're going to go into that more during the presentation. And then finally, it's now you're ready to apply. You know what you want, you know who you want to ask it from. Let's get all the things you need together so that you can make that application and build a relationship with the lender that's going to help your business get the funding it needs. So, excuse me. First, identifying the need for the loan. Love the baby because they expect me to pay it back. Exactly. So make sure you need it before you go for it. And how can you tell? There are some key reasons that are very good reasons that you might need to borrow for a business. You might be starting for the first time. You might be expanding to a new location. You might have noticed that there's equipment you need that would help you get your job done faster or serve a new market. Those are fantastic reasons. You might need to hire more people. So we work with businesses all over DC, and we particularly with insurance and sales companies, they sometimes need to hire salespeople before they can see their increase in revenue. But they need to pay their salespeople today, but their salespeople are going to be building their clientele over time. So that's a good investment. Another reason is you might want to build your business credit for future loans. I have a couple of clients that have come to me recently who have $80,000 in the bank. And they are coming not because they need the money, but because they don't want to spend their savings. They'd rather build a credit history that they can then show to another bank when they do need more money, when they need a $150,000 investment. Another good reason is if you've noticed you have a cash flow problem, like you do get paid, you do make more money than you spend, but there's often a lag time between when you have to buy your product and do your service and between when you get paid. So that's a capital cushion for cash flow. That can be a great reason to borrow. Along with that, you also want to think how much money you will need to borrow. As noted before, it's no fun to pay people back. You should think about what amount you need and what outcomes it will bring for you and the business. If it will add to your revenue, it sounds like a great time, a great opportunity for you to invest money. And you want to make sure that you pick the amount that's right for you, because your business assets and other collateral and your credit score will often be on the line. So you do want to make sure that you pick an amount that you will be able to pay back. For these kind of tips, I really have loved the Lean Startup methodology. I often provide some counseling and coaching to clients who come my way, and I want to share with them about the idea of doing small experiments. This is especially important if you're starting a business from scratch, that you can start to see that people will buy your product before you invest a lot of money. I had a client who, in their home country, they had run chains of ice cream stores that they actually built themselves from scratch. And now they have like 7 locations in Ecuador. They moved to America because they had the opportunity, and they wanted to start ice cream in America. And they wanted to have originally like a $50,000 loan to get a food truck. And I said, that could work. Do you know what kind of ice cream that people here are buying? Well, I'm not really sure. I said, is there any way that you could test that out, like at farmers markets, before you get a $50,000 truck, to see that people were really going to buy from you? And they said, you know what, Amanda, you're right. Like, we started our ice cream business in Ecuador with a cart. Why don't we just get a cart here, try it out for the summer, see what we learn, and then come back to you, in the winter, so that we can get this done right and be prepared for the spring and summer season. So that's just one example of how you can start your business small and work on a tiered advance to get what you need done. So always see how you can start small and then get bigger. However, there are many people on this call today, on this webinar, who may be ready to go bigger, and that's awesome. So the rest of the tips on here are going to be applicable for you no matter which size loan you're going for. So once you've decided the size loan you need, whether you're a new business who's starting out small, or whether you've had a restaurant, you're making over $10,000 in profit after paying all your people every month. You need more money, you need to make the next step. What are some general sources that you could do for that? I've identified 4 different debt sources. So today on this call, I want to emphasize that we're only talking about debt funding, not equity funding. Equity funding is, of course, when somebody will give you a certain amount of money, but for a certain percentage of ownership in your business. That can be another way that you go, but it's a different set of skills. So now focusing on debt funding, which is a great pair actually for small businesses. I found like 4 main sources that I want to go over today. One is the traditional bank. The second is a CDFI, again, community development financial institutions such as Latino Economic Development Center, where I work. Another is online lending, and another are your friends and family. So each of these could be viable for you, and there are different kind of uses that they're generally good for. So I wanted to give the general overview so you can know what to expect from each source. So most people want to think about going to a traditional bank at first. Many banks start to lend at $50,000. That's the smallest business loan they'll make. I have seen some these days that are going as small as $10,000. However, a lot of banks don't lend to startups. They want to see that you've been registered for 2 years, that you have 2 years of business taxes, and 2 years of basically income and expense reports to show them. This sometimes locks a lot of small businesses out from getting traditional banks, but don't worry, we have other sources. However, traditional banks can be great, especially if you're growing, you have a lot of cash flow, you need a larger amount of money. The rates can often be very good, and you can also go to traditional banks to get funding through refinancing your home. With a home refinance, you can use that money for anything you want. You can also use it for your business. So the rates can often be good, especially if you do a home refinance. Then you're looking at paying, market rates for what home mortgages are, which could be as low as 4%. I put 5 on here. Every bank's going to offer you something different. If you want to start with a bank, I would look at your regional, locally focused banks. Even though, it's surprising, some banks are really starting to lend to small businesses. In DC, some of our banks that are lending strongly to small businesses are Eagle Bank and Industrial Bank. And each region will likely have banks that are more strongly represented. So I think that you'll have to just look at maybe the Black Chamber of Commerce might be able to point you to banks in your areas that generally lend to small businesses. Next, we have CDFIs. CDFIs are really great organizations. A lot of times they receive funding from banks so that they can do lending to smaller businesses and do smaller loans that banks can't afford to do. A lot of CDFIs are nonprofits, and like their people are paid by grants, so they don't have to have the biggest loans in order to stay operating. This allows like CDFIs to lend to small businesses and sometimes to startups, depending on the organization. Loans can start as small as $1,000. At Latino Economic Development Center, we have loans that start actually at $500 if people need that in order to build their credit to the point where they can get a larger loan from us. The great thing about CDFIs is they can lend to startups a lot of times. The rates will generally start at a bit higher than a bank, maybe 8% or 8 to 20%. Of course, that depends on the organization. There is a great place to find CDFIs in your neighborhood, and it's called the Opportunity Finance Network. They have a map. I've linked to it later on in the presentation, so you'll see it. I think that's a great source. A lot of clients come to us after a bank has said, you know, I can't lend to you. That doesn't mean you don't have a good business, and it doesn't mean that you won't be successful or profitable. Just come to a CDFI and we're going to do the numbers for you. Another option that people are doing, here's a picture of the map of all the CDFIs around the world, around the country. You'll see that there are a lot of them in every state, and even if they're not near you, so like if you live in Idaho, you could probably go to that one that's located in Idaho and start to work with them virtually. So they will definitely be able to serve you. A lot of people are looking at online lending. So online lending has a great appeal. It often has a very clear application process because they're tech companies where developers have been invested to create really nice technology solutions. The lenders can loan any amount of money, maybe from $1,000 to $500,000. You can see these online when you Google. Any number of organizations will come up. They sometimes do lend to startups, and they have rates, I would say, around 8% to 50%. So this is the thing that's interesting about online lending that you really need to watch for. Out of the previous sources that I've spoken on so far, online lending has the least kind of regulation and the most like documented ways of them charging very high rates without you realizing it. They will come up with different ways to tell you that their loans are affordable, but you will need to actually look at how much you're paying and calculate that for yourself. I included on the next slide a link to a really good article that I have found that goes through how different online lending organizations are charging 41%, 40%, and 32%. And if you've looked into online lending, perhaps you've seen some of these. And it might tell you that you're getting a 17% loan, but the way they structure the payback rates, it actually comes out to be 32%. So you do want to look into that before you take any online lending. But of course, the pros can often be that the loans can go through faster, and sometimes they don't look very much into your business or anything. They could just make their decisions based on your credit score, which is often could be a bad thing or a good thing depending on your credit score. And then another funding source, which I bet everybody here is familiar with, is friends and family. If you haven't asked them for money yet, there will be a day. They might have given you money before, but you might actually need more money than they can give you, which is why the other sources are there. But I want to let businesses know, if you've gotten money from your savings or your friends or your families, document how much you've gotten. Document what you've used it for. Because when you go to another lender to ask for money, that's going to show that your network supports you, that your network believes in you, and that you believe in yourself, and that you have investment in your business already. Another thing that you can do where your friends and family can help you is if you're seeking funding from a bank or a CDFI, they can become co-signers on your loan, which can be helpful because then you can count on their additional income to help you make payments. Or they can donate collateral. So if they have a car that's paid off, or if they have a very expensive piece of equipment or an investment property, they can often allow an organization to put a lien on it that will help your loan go through. So always rely on friends and family, keep them there because they can help you whether they're giving you money or they're co-signing for you. Now we've gone through like a lot of sources, I want to talk about actually applying. So I think a lot of the lessons that I'm going to share with you about applying apply to whether you're working with a bank, a CDFI, depending on an online lender, it might also work too. They may collect documents and they may call you and talk to you about your situation. And I think it even applies when you're working with your friends and family, because the whole point of applying is to open up your business ideas, to share what the finances really are, and to let people know that they should be as confident in you as you are in yourself. Like, you're letting them in on a deal. You're going to be paying them back with interest. And here's how they know that they can get that money back. So that's what the application is all about. And just to share a little bit about how the procedure works at LEDC, to give you an idea of what you could expect other places, we have an intake loan application. So we have an application form that collects your demographic information, your basic ideas of what you want to do with your loan money, and some basic documents that I went through previously. Then a loan officer, of course, looks through that all. Might take 2 or 3 days and might follow up with you with questions. So if they see certain purchases that are very large, they might just ask, why did you make that purchase? What was the purchase for? Just to get a full idea of your day-to-day operations in your home and your business life. And then there's an approval process where once your loan is put together by the loan officer, it's being approved by the committees that different organizations have. And if you get a larger amount, it might take a longer amount. We say 1 week, and then there's also the closing. And different organizations will do closing differently. But generally, that's where you sign documents, you go through the terms, make sure you understand it, you sign over different collateral. So going back, let's go back to the loan application. Right when you're getting ready, you probably the business loan. You should make sure your business is a lot of organizations, definitely traditional banks and definitely CDFIs will lend only if your business is registered, and they will have money to the check. So get your business registered, and then you decide who's going to guarantee the loan. For small business loans, most of them have a personal guarantee. Credit report. In our state, who owns 20% of the business or more has to sign that loan, and it will show.
I was looking at, I think that I was just going through making sure your business is registered, deciding who's going to be on the loan, gathering the right documents, having a business plan, having a plan for collateral, checking your credit, and getting a mentor. So I just will go through each of these steps in more detail. Who is the guarantor of the loan? As I mentioned before, anyone who owns more than 20%. And it can also be someone who doesn't own it, who wants to support you. Sometimes a spouse, a family member, a friend who has a good source of income other than the business income. For instance, I had a husband and wife couple, and the wife was opening a spa. She'd ran a spa as a manager for about 10 years, and she wanted to open her own. Her husband had a great job as a computer software analysis, and so he had a great set of income, so I was able to lend to her because he had really good income. So that can help you if you happen to have access to that. Basically, the game of lending is all about what assets and resources you do have. You may not have them all, but you may have some of them. So it's about knowing what the different assets can be, so you can bring all of them to bear to get a better loan, either a larger loan or a better rate on a loan, or just what you need. So next, What necessary documents? So all these documents are what we need for Latino Economic Development Center. Again, it's like bank statements. We collect 6 months of bank statements for startups. Taxes, so just if you filled your taxes and paid them, that's great. Some businesses have filed extensions, so if you filed an extension, you just have to show the proof of that and probably an explanation as to why and when you expect your taxes to be filled. It is very important for businesses and the people who are running them to stay up to date on their taxes. Most places, and I would say all, will not lend to you if you're behind on your taxes. Business plan, we'll go into that a little bit more in a second. Business registration and licenses, just always have those ready on your computer so that you can send them over to a loan officer. Articles of incorporation, business lease. This is very important for location-based businesses. If you have your location, the lender will want to see what the terms of that are. How long is your lease? How much are you paying? And where is the location? And especially if you're getting a new location, they're going to want to see what you're looking at there. And the business financials. So business financials are tough. Some people are just starting. They don't really, they've been so busy starting their business that they didn't really keep track of their finances. An organization like Latino Economic Development Center will work with you with whatever data you have, whether that's some Square documentation, maybe Square or Venmo or PayPal, however you've been accepting payments, whether it's looking at your bank statements, and seeing what you've been earning, what you've been spending. But a lot of people are using QuickBooks or Quicken to keep track of their expenses, and you can really just, or you have an accountant, just send over whatever you have to the loan officer. It's going to make their lives a lot easier, and that will make them happier with you. Same thing for balance sheets. So you want to keep track of all the time, like I said, what you've been investing in your business. It's like if you own a truck for your moving company, that truck's worth $20,000. Awesome. If you had to make the storefront prettier for your spa, you can count like how much you spent in improving it. That's called leasehold improvements. So these kind of things help us see what investments you've made in your business so far. Because the more investments you've made, that's how you profit from your business. You know, that's your barrier to entry. If you've invested a lot of money in a storefront, it looks gorgeous now. That often means that you're having more clients or they're paying a higher price for your services or goods. So balance sheet can help us out. And monthly projections after loan disbursement. So generally you're getting a loan because you think it's going to help you grow. You think it's going to make something different tomorrow than what you've been doing in the past. So we want to see that. So if you've been earning around $6,000 every month and now you're hiring a new salesperson for your insurance team, you would expect that maybe the next month you'll have $7,000 in revenue. And the month after that, you have $8,000 and $9,000 because of the additional capacity. So whatever you think is going to happen to your revenue after you get the loan, you should project that for us. And it's also good for yourself too to have these kind of goals in mind so you know when you're being successful. Okay, so now I'm getting to some of the important parts of a strong business plan. So at Latino Economic Development Center, we don't need a 50-page business plan. Every organization might be different. You should discuss what kind of business plan that they would want to see from you. But the things that we do want to see at LEDC is we want to learn about who are your team members. If you're just starting up, who are the team members? Is it just yourself? Is it you and 2 other people? And what are their backgrounds? We don't need your resumes, but if the resumes are already there, you can send it along. The most important thing we want to see is dedication to the industry. Have you worked in the industry before? How long? What kinds of leadership roles did you have? What kind of success did you have? And if you're new to the industry, like I said, that's still okay. We want to see anything you've done to prepare yourself, any courses you've taken, internships you've done, anything you've done to prepare yourself for having a great business. And because small businesses are really about the people who are behind them. So that's a strong part of your business plan. Another thing that's going to be important is to let us know how you plan to use the loan. Because we have, from our point of view, you can have anybody coming in the door and you don't know who they are. We need to see who you are and what you're planning to do with the money. So if you come in and you're like, I'm going to start a daycare center and I want $125,000 to do it, that's not enough information for a loan officer to go on. You really need to share what you're using the money for. And it doesn't have to be very, 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 very super detailed, but it needs to be logical enough. You know, I have a place for rent and it costs $5,000 a month. You know, I want to have rent available for 5 months. I need to hire people and they're going to cost me $10,000 a month. I need to get beds, you know, so just have these things all laid out and know the difference between a startup cost and an operating cost as well. So a startup cost would be when you need to invest in things that you don't already have to make the business go. And an operating cost would be over time what you need to pay, whether that's the cost of goods, if you're selling food, or your rent, your utilities, your labor that you have to pay. So there are a lot of cool templates online that you can find to help out with that. And also, as I suggest, you can find a mentor if you are not sure how to build a strong business plan, a mentor within your industry, a friend who's done it before, or a business mentor from organizations such as SCORE, or perhaps even Capital Pathways and the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. Already talked about the necessary documents. Oh, I went backwards. Collateral. So collateral is often a part of loans that come from banks and from CDFIs. It's normal for a bank or CDFI to look to collateralize your loan at 75 to 100% of value. That means that they want to put a lien on something that costs almost as much as what they're lending to you. A lot of people can feel very upset and confused about this. They feel like, why I have to have money before I get money. Maybe, but maybe not. Here's what you need to think of. What can you do? A lot of times, cars with clean titles are accepted. Business assets can be accepted if you've invested a lot in your business, if you have some large equipment. That doesn't help all sorts of businesses out. That helps the capital-intensive businesses. If you're a massage business, you maybe don't have a lot of investment in equipment because it's your services. But that's where it's like, what can you find that can help you? Also, if you have a very strong background or you've been operating for a while with strong finances, there might be some wiggle room, and an organization might be able to accept 50% collateral. So that's where you can negotiate if you're able to present yourself as a strong candidate for other reasons, either strong cash flow, strong co-signers, great history in the business. So think about what your collateral plan is going to be and have one first before you go to a lender. So they don't ask you, you share with them. Another great thing is you do need to check your personal credit and also the credit of everybody who's going to be on the loan with you, whether it's your co-signer or your co-owners. A lot of small business loans are correlated with your credit score. So knowing that will help you know where you are. And if you're able to check your report, you're often able to see things that you might not have known were on there, and then you can have the power to take care of it. And sometimes it's as simple as making a $200 payment to a certain organization. Like you might have had a medical bill you didn't know about, and you need to pay $200. So you can really raise your credit score quickly by taking a chance to look at it. I say just basic is Credit Karma. It's free. You can sign up for it. But if you Google search, there's plenty of ways that you can look at your credit report for free and without affecting your credit score. So everybody on this call, if you didn't do it, get familiar with your credit report. And if you need more support, look up credit counseling on Google and see if you can find a credit counselor in an area near you, because they can really help you prepare yourself so that when you go to a business lender, they are going to pull your credit and they are going to look at it. And I think it's stronger if you know what's there first so that you can even provide explanations ahead of time. Whatever might be bad on the credit report, that there's an explanation for. You can share the story, because lenders are people and we listen to stories and at least examine them. Let's see what's next. Oh, get a mentor. That's great. And before I close out, I always just want to share some tips that come straight from my brain about what makes me frown, and the next one's what makes me smile. So let's do the frown one first so we can end on a positive note. Frown. It's so painful when I see a great entrepreneur who's doing great sales but needs to invest in their business but can't because they have expensive car loans. They have car payments of $800, maybe $1,000. And because they're paying so much money for their cars each month, their expenses are not being able to be covered, even though they're doing great business. You need to be honest with yourself. If you have a car payment that's making it so you can't have savings every month, it's making it hard for you to meet your bills, then you need to downgrade now, because we will not be able to lend to you if you do not have capacity to repay. And I've just seen it so many times that I want to share it with people now so you can plan for it now. That $40,000 car that you want to get, that car loan, that could be $40,000 for your business. It's the same payments that you'd be making. So think about what's more important to you. Try and get a car that's more affordable if you think that you need $40,000 of investment in your business. The next thing is if we see collections on your credit report from credit cards, we really want to see that you're able to pay people back. If you have collections, why don't you meet up with a credit counselor and try and get on a payment plan? Because when you get on a payment plan, it's going to show up differently on your credit report. It's going to show up that you've worked things out with the creditor and that you're working through it. It might take you a long time to repay it, but you're working through it. So do check into that. The other thing that's tough is similar to the expensive car loans. If you have a lot of credit card debt and a lot of minimum payments, like your minimum payments are $2,000 a month and you're hardly able to make it with all the rest of your bills you have, that's really hard to lend to somebody like that. So all I want to say is, in the meantime, that's not you, fantastic. Try not to get into credit card debt. It makes it very hard to lend to people. Something else that makes me upset as a loan officer is if there's a discrepancy between what somebody says their business makes and what's showing up in the bank statements. So get ahead of that. If you're actually making $10,000 a month, but only $6,000 are showing up in your bank statements, think about how you can show that other $4,000 that you might be getting in cash. Keep track of it every day, and also let the loan officer know. I see you see $6,000 in my account. I do $4,000 in cash sales, and here's some records I have to show for it. So that will help you. And the other thing that's upsetting is seeing student loans in collections. So student loans that you're not paying back. Student loans, as you might know, it's like a big phenomenon in America. People are getting $200,000 loans. They're not getting jobs. They can allow them to pay that back. That might be a problem. That might be something that schools across America are dealing with. But there's something called an income-based repayment plan, which looks at what income you make and makes your student loan payment based on that. So if anybody's having trouble making student loan payments, please look into income-based repayment plans and see how you can get on one, because that will make your life a lot easier when you're going to invest in your business. And then my closing things are things that we love to see. So if you can do any of these things, do it now, and it's going to help you look great to a loan officer. If you are starting a business that you have prior experience in or extensive knowledge, that looks great. We feel very confident that you are going to be able to take this business to the next level and create revenue. If you have been in your business for a while and have been bootstrapping it, you have been using your own money, you have been reinvesting the profits from your business and have been going with your business without a loan, that's awesome. It shows that you have a great market and that you're very, very resourceful. And if you're coming to us saying, now's time for me to get some additional funding to make it big, that looks good for us. I had a great client, and he had been working in America for 10 years. He moved from Mexico. He saved $40,000 of his own dollars over those 10 years. And he bought $40,000 worth of equipment that he rents out as a party rental business. And he said, I've been doing great. I made $20,000 in 6 months last year. I want more equipment. And we were definitely able to give him a loan. So that's would bring me to the third bullet point, which is having a tiered approach to financing, which I mentioned before, which is when you're starting a relationship with a lender and you're starting your business, you might not be able to ask for the big money right away. Ask for the small money so you can get going. Show some success and then ask for the big money. That really works out well. Also, if you can send all the documents, that's great. It's a no-brainer. So just get all the documents ready and try and send them over. It'll make your loan officer happy. They're happy, you're happy. I also love it when customers are not afraid of additional questions. So this is just a knowledge piece. Know that there will be additional questions, but also know that it's not because anybody thinks you're a bad person. I know that I had my first experience with this when I was getting my home loan. And every time my loan officer asked me questions, I would feel like, oh my gosh, I'm slowing down the process. I should have given her information ahead of time. I'm such a bad person. She must think I'm horrible. Loan officers don't think that. Loan officers just need the information so that they can cross the T's and dot the I's, so they can understand your business and your personal financial situations. So don't be afraid. Just be calm and answer the questions. And if you can't answer them right away, let the loan officer know when you'll be back to them with an answer. It's also great when a client who knows they're starting off, or they might not have the strongest financial footing, can come to me with a co-signer already, whether it's their best friend, their mom, co-owner, spouse. So co-signers can be good. If you don't have one, that's fine. But if you can get one, it really shows that people believe in you. And again, demonstrate an investment of the founder's time or resources into the business. If we can see that you've been working on this for a while with success, it looks fantastic. If you just come here and say, I want to open a store that sells t-shirts, doesn't look so good. So try and do something you love and something that you can do before you even get to a lender. And in conclusion, just want to make sure that we've covered these goals. I hope that you feel more confident now. The confidence was the goal. Confidence in the amount of loan you're looking for. Confidence in how you can present yourself and your business for the loan, and confidence in the type of loan that you'll seek, where you'll get it from, and knowing if you'll find a good deal or not. So I want to share with you that there are some resources that I mentioned here. Maybe you can take a screenshot of this, or this is all, the recording is also going to be available. But we have Nerd Wallets, how to choose the lender. We have Credit Karma for your free credit report, and we have Opportunity Finance Network, CDFI locator, ofn.org/CDFI-locator. Hopefully those will help you out. And I'd love to ask people to prepare any questions, of course, now, because kind of come to a close of the presentation. So I'm going back to the chat boxes and seeing if anything is coming up. And I can also ask Kevin for some support in this. So we don't really see any questions yet, but I'm hoping that everybody feels a bit more confident about looking for a loan. I tried to share what I think about when I see different loan application clients come my way. And I tried to share a little bit about the atmosphere of looking for a loan between a bank, CDFI, online lenders, and friends and family, and different ways that they can work together. Oh, can I put back the contacts page? Let's try it out. Yeah, probably. Is that the contacts page with my contact information on it? Let's see what else I got. Yes, Melissa, I'm so glad you're more confident. That's awesome. And everybody, thank you so much for staying through the technical difficulties we had too. That's really nice of you. Let's see if I get this. Thank you, Leon and John and Melissa. Do we do line of credit? So Latino Economic Development Center does not do line of credit, but if you're in the DC area, Sean, we have a great partner organization that I believe does. They're called City First Enterprises. They are actually an organization that has a bank, and it is a CDFI. So they have two arms of their organization that kind of work closely together. So if you're in DC, I would definitely check them out. Let them know we sent you, because we always send each other different clients. So there's my email. There's our website as well. Everybody's welcome to visit our website. The fastest way, if anybody here would like to speak to me about lending or speak to me about their business, no matter where you're from, I can definitely talk to you about your business. If you're around DC area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, we can work with you on a loan. But email is the fastest way, because I'm going to see you, I'm going to get all your contact information, and I'll be able to get back in touch with you. So that's just A Gant, my last name's Gant, at ledcmetro.org. So if there aren't any other questions, maybe Kevin wants to take over for the closing.
All right. Hello, everyone. Wonderful. So I'm going to get Kevin back up here in just a moment. Amanda, thank you very much for the excellent presentation and being for the technical difficulties that we, all of us, kind of should have expected, because that's how technology treats us. So I'm going to get Kevin up here. Thanks a bunch, Amanda. And
thanks, everybody.
All right. So let's get Kevin up here for the closing, and we will send you all on your way shortly. Hold on just a bit, Kevin. We're getting you set up now.
Okay. Again, I want to thank Amanda for her insight and advice on everything related to preparing for your small business loan. And thank you, everyone, again, for working with us through those technical difficulties. We actually do record all of our webinars, so we'll be able to go back and kind of edit out the gaps, and then also send those out so you can reference those later. A few housekeeping items. I want to, if anyone is interested in additional assistance, we provide that through our chamber networks, and you can get that information directly from our website, www.capitalpathways.com. Have a lot of resources and also a business information packet available for download that has a few templates that you can use in preparation for your small business loan package. And lastly, I want to make sure I mention we've partnered with Liberty Bank, a Black-owned bank out of New Orleans, to offer a low-rate fixed credit card at 9.96%. If anyone is interested in applying for that credit card, please visit www.libertybank.net/affinity and use our promo code USBC. And I will put that in the link. Give me 1 second. You should have that. And I think that's it. And again, I want to thank everyone for their patience and their time. And please be on the lookout for everything Capital Pathways. Visit us on our website, follow us on social media at Capital Pathways. And thank you so much.